So what I'm doing right now, just to explain to you the pockets and to take this in the back of your mind when you're making a beat, and we're going to be working with a 1 bar. Okay, I just want to loop a 1 bar, and I want to put some hi-hats in here, all right, just so we have a steady pulse going. Now I want to put the snare. So right now we're going at a steady boom bap pace. We're doing 86. And I want to show you the kicks, the pockets for the kicks, all right? Now for the kick, there are 3 main places where you can put the kick, all right? It's in the middle, to the right, and to the left. So these 3 places for the kick. So imagine the snare is right there, okay? Right? And we're just playing between the 2 snares. But if you have a look at the snares, they're right there, right? And all this space in between, we're going to play with our kicks, okay? So imagine that the snares is still there, and these steps are for our kicks, all right? So in the middle, that's like the main step, like the main pocket of boom bap. Then you got that other one to the right. So jump a step, and I'm working in 1/16s, yeah? 1/16s. Okay, back into the step sequencer. So the middle one, the one to the right, and the other one to the left. These are the 3 main pockets, the 3 main steps for a kick within the snare, right? And this here is in the middle as well. When this finishes, it plays back, and then there's another snare right there. This one is in the middle, right? 3 steps here, 3 steps there. So these 3 steps, these 3 pockets, you can do a lot with in hip hop. There's a lot of stuff that you can do with it. I'm going to play with it a little bit so you enjoy a little bit of this, of these steps. Right? And you can combine these. Right there. Right? Maybe that one. Okay, so these 3 are the main ones. And what about these other ones that are blank? You can use these for accents. You can also use them just to put a kick in there if you want. Right? But I would say that these 3 are the main ones, right? Really the first ones that you think about when you're making boom bap. These are the ones. And the other ones are for accent notes. And the accent notes or ghost notes are notes that are different in level. So they have a smaller volume. Okay? Like that. These are my accent notes, my ghost notes. And they serve a purpose. They serve a purpose of having a contrast and dynamic in the balance as well. It doesn't need to be all the way down. It can be a bit more up. Some people even just use it like that sometimes. I don't like it, but some people do. Right? I like to have a balance, like a contrast. So, okay, the 3 main pockets, the 3 main steps are these ones. The other ones you can use for accent notes, all right? So let's say I have that one as my step, and I have that one as an accent note. Or maybe I have that one as my first one, right? Okay, or that one. I can even add a ghost note just before it, right? And so on. So you use these ones as your main steps and the other one as your ghost notes, right? As your accents for these steps. Now, the funny thing is that you can also use these steps without using the main accents, the main three steps. And it sounds cool as well. Okay? So this is the second hit next to the one in the middle. So same thing. After it hits this snare, it comes back to the beginning and it loops again. So everything here in the middle is the same as in here, these three steps and these three first steps here, right? So this one is the same thing as this one, all right? So, and you can use it, sometimes I use it just to hit before the snare. Right? Now, everything I said, I want you guys to know that, of course, I'm saying that these are like the three main steps for the kick. Again, you can use the other steps if you want, however you see fit, all right? Okay. But I think this is important, especially if you're starting and you're trying to make boom bap and stuff like that. Normally we work in 16s. A bar is divided into 16 steps, and you'll see that right there. It's saying that my sequence is working in 1/16s, all right? If you go to the grid, everything is divided into 1/16s, right? If I zoom here, you'll notice that I have 16 steps right here. These are all the hits that we created. We've got the hi-hats right there, the snares, actually the snares and the kicks, right? If we go into the step, same thing. We've got 16 steps within one bar, okay? And normally this is hip-hop. I think this is, whenever I'm making beats, this is always like, I'm so used to seeing this image of these three steps, and I naturally gravitate towards one of them when I'm making my beats. I personally really love using this, just this. And now and again, I use this one. By showing you this, it doesn't mean that you should only work with these three steps, okay? I'm showing you this as the entrance to hip hop, the entrance to boom bap drums. And if you carry this visual with you when you're making beats, it's going to be easy sometimes for you to decide whether you want a step or another step. Whenever I'm making beats, I have this like in the back of my mind, it's already there. I don't think too much of it, but it's always there, and I know that I have these three steps that I can work with. Normally, the ones I work with more are these two. And sometimes I just use this, sometimes I use these two, and sometimes I use that one. This one is the one I use not so much, not as often, but it's still there and I still use it, okay? But these two are the ones that I use the most. And normally when I use them, I like to use them with an accent just before, like that. So I might be doing that. right? Or maybe I'm doing that, an accent before the snare. I love these little accents in between these top notes, these 3 steps. I love to use accents on their own without having the lead kick in there. So just kind of having them in there. Sometimes one of these can become the strongest kick in the sequence as well. Right? There's nothing wrong with using one of these steps that I'm saying that it's an accent actually be loud as well and be on its own and be part of the sequence like that. So there's nothing wrong with using one of these so-called accent places that I use. This is my preference, right? So I'm calling these steps as accents, but in reality, you can use them however you feel like, right? There's just a step in the sequence and you use it however you like, okay? But normally, that's how I see it from looking at the formula like this, is to kind of make it less complex. Because when we're making beats sometimes, it feels like there's so much space that we can put our kicks in, when in reality, there's not so many places. There are only a few places that you can put the kick, especially if you're working in 1/16s. You got what? 1, 2, 3, 6 steps that you can put your kicks. And normally, and more often, the most used steps are these 2 right there. And all the other ones are kind of accent notes that you can play with to enhance the groove and enhance the dynamic of the groove of the swing. Okay? Of course, as I said, this is just a very basic formula. Of course, you can work in 132 and you can add more complex patterns. But if you want like the basics, you got 6 steps. These 3 are the main ones, and all the rest is kind of like dynamics that you can create around it. At least this is how I see it, all right? And I don't like to complicate things too much.